Hi, everyone. I'm Mandy Dwight, founder of Dwight & Company, also host of this podcast that you're watching / listening to, ROS Goss. This is a really exciting episode. We don't usually have a celebratory beverage on the show, but here I am joined by two of my fantastic former colleagues, Sue Sokoloski, who is now a robotics consultant for marketing in the space, and Whittaker, who is an advisor to Terradar and has been an advisor to many other companies. How we know each other, we're way back from Rethink Robotics. So we have known each other for over decades. What these ladies will not tell you is that these are my go-to people for mentors. So I call them all the time. So we're always in touch. They're friends, mentors, industry colleagues.
Drinking buddies.
Drinking buddies. Oftentimes we love food. We love going out. We'll probably go down to row 34 right after this. But thank you so much for joining me today for this podcast.
Such a treat, Mandy.
Such a treat.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for being here. And we also have Dose, which is Dose Whittaker here. Anne's dog has joined for the day, so she's here, and she's not going to pass up a good time to hang
control.
out. Quality
And
control.
she's a good girl. You're such a good girl.
So, I had this idea to call you guys because I was reading LinkedIn, Aaron Prather, industry colleague that I really respect. I was reading something that he put out recently, and, it was an article about the 10 most important robots that really kind of changed everything in the space. And number 7 on that list was our good old friend Baxter. And that list, I mean, if you go to Aaron's web page and take a look at that on his LinkedIn, but there's a lot of impressive robots on that. So you have Asimo by Honda, you had Roomba, iRobot. Who else is on that list?
Oh God.
The Unimate was on that
Yes.
list. So many.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one that.
I wrote them.
Do we have anyone from Boston Dynamics?
Kiva.
Yes.
Kiva was on there.
Kiva. Yes.
Yeah, Boston Dynamics.
That's
The
what I was
Spot
trying to
was
think of.
on there.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Spot.
But honestly, it was an interesting list because, having been there at Rethink, there's a moment of pride. Rethink, it's in the news again this week because the second iteration of Rethink didn't make it again. Yeah. So. But we were there and we lived the original, and I would say I lived the original, but you guys you lived the original. You lived the original.
OG.
So I thought it was good to get in a room and just kind of chat it out about this. Aaron pointed out that the term cobot and collaborative robot, that was really the first of its kind.
Yes.
Baxter was the first manufactured humanoid robot.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I agree with that too, because humanoids are now absolutely full circle in the
Yes.
news.
And we were the first ones to actually use those two words, collaborative robots and cobots, in our marketing on our website, even though others took credit for it. One day, probably in a fit of anger, I did a bunch of research and with the Wayback Machine and looked at a ton of websites. We led the way by at least a year in putting that message out there and getting people to start talking about cobots and collaborative robots. So it really was groundbreaking. It really was.
No, I agree with that because, and we're going to dig into today, a lot of articles about, Baxter, Sawyer, Rethink Robotics will talk about, the collaborative robot and the joints and things like that in the robot. We're going to talk about the marketing and culture story because that's the things that we don't talk about. And, as we dig into marketing, I'm going to go back to the fact that if you know what a cobot is or a collaborative robot, it might be because of Sue sitting right here. So we're going to dig into that a little bit later. But you're right. I mean, that's the story that's never told,
Right.
is the marketing, the culture that was Rethink. And those are the things that I think it's important that people hear those stories.
Well, and it's hard to stake your claim on that when people say, yeah, but you went under. You're right. We did because we made a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah.
But along the way, we broke ground not once, not twice, but a dozen times for a dozen different reasons. And it really was very bleeding edge. We didn't end up succeeding, which many startups don't, but we did a lot of things that nobody else had done.
Yeah, no, I agree. And even this week, I was looking at LinkedIn and I saw, I think it's Julian Cunahan Schematic Ventures said something about, Rethink is out of business yet again. But there were so many lessons that were learned on like marketing and what to do, what not to do. Why hasn't anybody acquired that company just for that reason? To take those brains that really built that marketing, brought the best minds together to work together. Why did nobody scoop that up?
They tried. It didn't work.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's another story. So digging into it, there are a lot of things that are legacy, right? And, I go, Katie's hiding behind the camera. Hi, Katie. So we're going to Pack Expo next week, right?
God help you.
You don't want to go?
No.
So, going to Pack Expo, we will probably run into no less than 10 to 20 colleagues that we used to work.
Easily, right?
Yeah.
And I think about Anne, you were very early, you put together this team of like superheroes and built kind of that early culture because, a robotics company, there's the technology and then there's the people that are actually building and doing and executing on that. And the people, Anne, that was all you.
The people were themselves, and that was just, making room for so many different kinds of intelligence. In the early days, we had a lot of Rod fanboys, kids from MIT who wanted to come work for Rodney Brooks because he was Rodney Brooks, and he's, admittedly brilliant.
Yeah.
And what a legacy.
Yeah.
But creating a culture, a community requires so many different kinds of talents and ways of being and creating and knowing. And it's just like choosing people not only for their incredible intelligence and whatever facilities they bring with them that are necessary to getting done what we want to get done, but literally creating a community of people who are excited to learn from one another, who are all on a single mission. We're all trying to build this robot and get it out there in the world. And that's, of course, the thing that jazzes engineers the most is seeing their designs, out in the wild.
Come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it takes so many different kinds of intelligences, and so many different educational backgrounds. And I kind of cringe when I see companies say, "Well, we have the world class this and that." I think you use the world class, and so I'm not denigrating that. But what does that really mean? Because what does that really mean in a lot of, especially in this area of the kind of education institutions we have and the VCs and whatever, there's a lot of snobbery around where you go to school, and God, it's like what it is really bringing in people who want to make something happen, and they want to do it from learning and being with other people who want to make this thing happen, and not be the smartest person in the room, not be the one who's credited with this or that. And I don't know, it's like our as we all see in our world today, tribalism and getting into a room with only people who think like you is what's killing us.
Yeah.
And so I think all of us want to be in community. We all want to be around other people. We want to create stuff with other people. That's what's really fun. And I think that energy suffused who we were at Rethink. And it's just so cool because everyone had just so much fun together, frustrations together, and it really, really welded people together. And was, as we know, so many of our colleagues are all working together in other places, or just the relationships that were made and sustained and are kind of moving on into the future. And I'll think of so many different examples of like someone who had never anything to do with robotics, but wow, he had like this real fire. We brought him in as a product manager, and now this guy's starting his own goddamn robotics company. I mean, so many people got into robotics because of Rethink.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's so many different disciplines that can fuel that fire to go to do that stuff. So
Yeah, no. And you know, you are a co-founder. So you were there early days.
I was employee number 2.
And you had a hat a minute ago that said Heartland Robotics on it.
Yes, where did I put it?
We'll find that.
We'll find it.
that.
Oh, it's over on the chair there. I'll put it on later.
Oh no, don't mess up your hair with the headphones. Well, that's really. But you know, people don't know that was Rethink Robotics.
Yes, our first name was Heartland Robotics. I came up with it. It was deemed too limiting as we grew. My ego says no. But yes, we were originally Heartland Robotics. Yes.
That's way back. And that was a team of how many?
That was 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, God. 2008 was when we incorporated. And, you know, we originally started out, I don't know, we were 5, then we were 10, then we were 15.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said early days, it was mostly engineers from MIT.
Yep.
And some really interesting people who were part of that early team who then went on to be founders and co-founders of other companies. Some of our earliest people were like Natan Linder of Tulip and Formlabs fame, Clara Vu, who then went on to work with Patrick Solbovaro, who was also involved with us early on. Yeah. And so it was a lot of really interesting talent early on, and then it just kind of kept blossoming and expanding, and it was so fun to see it all expand and grow and see everyone just flourish.
Yeah, and it sounds, well, I know that there were amazing people there, right? Because, you know, I was there for a couple of years as well. How do you attract those people?
I was going to ask that too.
Like how do you get them?
As I said early on, of course, it was the draw of Rod.
Yeah.
Because the early people were engineers who knew of Rodney and his incredible legacy as a roboticist. And then I think we kind of we did a lot. We did a pretty equal distribution of both hiring, you know, from within our network, and of course some recruiting. But I think that as we grew, what attracted other people really was what they heard, how excited the people who were already there
That is
were,
very true.
and they wanted to be a part of that. And for me, you know, interviewing, because I picked every single person who came in there just about, no, I'm not going to say everybody.
Yeah. Don't take credit for some people.
Yeah, no. But really wanting to see people who just wanted to engage and who had, you know, and of course with engineers are tough, you know, not always the most open.
Quirky, I believe is the word you're looking for.
Yeah. But even in someone with that very kind of linear mind that is just so brilliant. I wish I had the ability to think like an engineer.
Yeah.
But you find places where they go, yeah, but I want to tap into this part of my humanity. It is with people like really, I mean, I think all of us just want to be seen and recognized and appreciated. You know, there are people that doesn't matter for.
Yeah.
There's very few people
Yeah.
who don't want to be seen and recognized and given a platform to shine. But I do think that it was a lot of people knowing what was going on, knowing some of their friends who had joined, and then it was just sort of a groundswell. And then, yes, we had to also do some recruiting, getting some people, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
who
and then
weren't looking for jobs. But
and then you scaled it.
Yep. So the most people, I think, we got up to as many as 140 people.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
And internationally as well.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Wow.
Interesting.
How do you go from this tight knit team? And I think you do a lot of advising on this now because you still work with high tech teams on, you know, culture and people and things like that and supporting them. I mean, how do you scale something? You have this really great team that is fantastic.
And it's difficult because company that I'm working with now, there's a lot of people are really upset because they're losing what was early on where everyone had a hand in. And it's like, well, wait, we're losing that.
You're morphing it. You're not losing
morphing
it.
it.
You're
Exactly.
morphing it.
And as a company grows, those people who are so tied to how it was they drop off anyways. They're not going to be part of what's new. The culture really is defined by founders, by mom and mom, dad and dad, mom and dad. It's a family system, really.
Yeah.
And people are going to respond to the health of the people, quote, at the top. And I hate to use those words, but it is there. We are made to kind of honor a hierarchy. That's just kind of in our DNA. When you see people acting in a way that's respectful, listening, inclusive, that permeates it. So those things, those key ways of being a human and engaging other humans, that scales.
Yeah.
Yes, do you lose some of the attributes of an early start? Yeah, but everything is we know things are always changing. And people who can go along with changes can go along with those changes when they have a trust that the container for those changes is healthy and it's going to bring them along.
The no assholes policy helped that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Although we weren't
big-
able to keep them all out.
No, you never can.
But everybody knew that policy. Everybody wanted that policy. Everybody lived that policy.
Yeah.
So everybody was always on the watch for, let's make sure.
Yeah.
Let's make sure.
And, before we started rolling, we were kind of talking about Rethink in the office and things like that. And Sue, you made a comment like, everything was just kind of open, like open door policy.
You could go to anyone, you could knock on Rod's door and say, listen, I want to ask you something. No one was more engaging than Rod.
Yeah.
I mean, he truly loved to be asked.
He's a professor at heart.
Just gonna
He's
say
a
that.
professor.
He's a
at heart. He
professor
loves
at heart
to teach people
at every level, right? And if he was asked something, it was like you were giving him a gift.
Yeah.
He was going to be able to teach you something.
Yeah.
That's a fairly unique quality.
That is unique.
And he personified. I'll never forget one time we had a media guy in who was, I'm sorry, but he was dumb as a stump.
That could happen.
And I was like sweating and losing my mind because he was asking Rod really not very good questions. And Rod took me aside and goes, you really need to calm down. And I'm like, what? I got this, he goes. I can teach him. I'm like, okay. Who does that?
Yeah.
Right? Most bosses would be like, yeah, don't ever let that guy. Nope. This was like, I got this, Sue. No problem.
That's awesome.
We can do this. I'm like, okay, here we go. And it was like 2 hours later, and he's still explaining the most simplistic thing about the robot. But okay, it was his choice.
Yeah.
And everybody had, come sit down, ask me a question. And they loved it. I loved it too.
Yeah.
Come sit down, ask me. And people would. They'd come in. Why are we doing fill in the blank? It doesn't matter for marketing. And I'd be happy to go through it with them.
Yeah.
And they walked away thinking, I'm more a part of this now.
Yeah.
I'm in the family. I'm not somebody looking over at the table over there thinking, I want to sit at that table. No, you're at the table.
Everyone's at the table.
Everyone's at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Anne, you built that culture.
Oh my God, yes.
I just, back to the thing, if you hire people who want to learn from the other
Yes.
people around
Yeah.
them, that is,
Yes.
there's that famous Thomas Zaz quote I always refer to when it says that something like, the reason that children learn is because they don't have that ego structure to say, I should already know.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what keeps us, like when you want to continue learning, that means that there's an opening for you to say, I don't know and I want to learn. And when when you want to learn, that indicates an ability just to be open and that there can be a back and forth.
And that was very prevalent. Everyone.
It
with
was
everyone.
Because I'm not an engineer.
No,
I'm a
same.
generalist. I just like to figure shit out.
Well, and imagine trying to translate some of this stuff into marketing speak. Like,
Yeah.
what? Say what?
But
How am I going to say that?
right? I think for all three of
Yeah.
us, how
Yeah.
we were able to learn.
Yeah.
And so much fun. I mean,
So much
not
fun.
just Rod,
Yeah.
but everybody. I
Yeah.
think everybody. I think
Yeah.
about it like a Waleed, or I just.
Oh, I know.
Oh, so many
Waleed.
people. Waleed.
Yeah.
We're just, can you explain that? Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, mind you, it'd be an hour and a half later, but
But you knew it.
but you knew it. And it was thorough and it was not condescending, but it was at your level.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a gift too.
Yeah.
When somebody can explain knowing what you know or figuring out how much you know and not make you feel like you're really not up to, no, come down to my level and explain it to me from there.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of the people there could do that. And I always thought, wow, that's a talent. That's a huge talent. Made different people from other companies I had worked with where they wanted to share their information. They didn't want to keep it to themselves. They wanted everybody to know. That's unique. I think that's quite unique.
Yeah, I don't think I've found another place like it, quite frankly.
I haven't, and I was with many startups before that, even some that went public. It always became so territorial.
Yeah.
So
They
territorial.
always became, I'm the reason we're successful. It was not, as we grew at Rethink, that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
It was a collective, collaborative effort, and it stayed that way to the bitter end, frankly. And I think that's quite unique.
Yeah, no, one thing is and I think you guys share this. I want to see our colleagues do well.
Oh, yeah.
When we hear them out there winning,
we get so excited.
it means because, we went through a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had a loss, like for whatever reason,
It felt like a death in the family.
we're not going to unpack it, but, we were at a great company. It didn't work out, but, we are still, case in point, I talk to you guys a lot, right? I talk to other people a lot. We're still in this tight-knit kind of circle. You guys get calls all the time from people.
And I just feel like, our mom thing comes out totally. When you just see, when I hear from different people and I see them together or I see what they're doing, it's just like,
or you see them featured somewhere. You're like,
just like, yay.
Good for you.
Yeah.
it is. It's a pride thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
we did well. We did well with that person. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like for a company that, sometimes companies don't make it and then everyone just kind of goes off and it's kind of a bitter thing. Nobody talks anymore. But we're not like that.
We're
Why
very
do you
much
think
the
that is?
opposite. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it is what we went through because we did build something very special.
Yeah.
All right.
It just couldn't meet market demand.
Yeah. I'm going to go there. Do you think that we were too early?
No, I think we were.
There were some strategic errors for absolutely sure. There was some, yes.
I think we were a little too proud of our technology to see the flaws that perhaps were embedded there.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to sometimes look at your baby and say, yep, that might be a little ugly.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And then there were some other business decisions made, especially
Also
internationally, that were
fraught with peril.
really-
Fraught with peril. Yeah. Some of the thoughts of grandeur of going international very quickly.
Yeah. That's hard.
Very,
Like scaling can kill you sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that and dishonesty.
No, I agree. I mean,
will kill you.
it's interesting to see, we were, Rethink, first cobot, one of the first cobots. We had UR, of course, breathing down our neck, and you won UR. Congratulations.
By the way, it's a great robot.
It is a
I
great
just want to go on
robot.
record. It is a great robot.
It is a great robot. So I do get it. But again, now we have humanoids that are on the scene, and I see a lot of people like, oh, is that Baxter on wheels? Or it's like, oh, you've created the Baxter. Congratulations, But wait, it has AI.
Oh wait, much different.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So how are you thinking about, every time you're like, oh, why does that guy look familiar? Are you seeing that, or am I just crazy?
No, I see it all the time.
Okay.
I see it all the time. Because fundamentally, we were watched probably more than most companies ever were watched.
I think you're right.
Everything we did was copied.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Everything.
You would get so mad. You would get so mad.
And I'll never forget that Scott would say, it's a form of flattery. No. It's not.
It's
Do
plagiarism.
not tell me it's flattery. Our words were literally taken off our website. And I'd be like, I spent days coming up with that. And now everybody's using it. That's great.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. I think we had something and people realized how good it was, whether it succeeded or not. And therefore, they copied, borrowed, whatever word you'd like to use. And we see it everywhere now.
Well, let's talk about marketing. I mean, that's, and I do joke, if you know what a collaborative robot or a cobot is, it's likely because of you.
We were early, back to your point.
Yeah.
I just remember from an SEO point of view, nobody was using cobot.
No.
Nobody was using collaborative robot. And then when we got to paid keywords, we were paying so little for that work because nobody was bidding on it.
Oh yeah, you know what that word is worth now?
Oh,
right? Like it's ridiculous.
I don't even know.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Katie prices it out all the time.
And it was just first of all, social media was very different back then. It was very simplistic.
Yes.
It was it wasn't mean-spirited. There was some honor within social media. There is none now. But everything we did was for the first time.
Yeah. How do you brand something that doesn't exist?
Well, I think the work that had been done in those early years, and I think of Mitch all the time, to
Yeah.
understand the target market was exceptional work.
Yeah, Mitch was pretty brilliant. Yeah.
I don't think I've worked for anybody that good before.
Yeah.
And we understood who we were selling to. And that, I think, made all the difference in the world. What we had to learn, which I thought was really hard, was how to speak to them, how to get to them, how to teach them, how to educate them. We knew the who, we didn't know the how. We didn't know how. And that you do by trial and error.
Yeah.
Whether it's SEO, whether it's social media, whatever you have to do, you just keep trying until you get something that sticks. And over again.
Yeah, and you built the foundation. Like, that's one thing, when Dwight co-works with companies, we're like, hey, who is your ideal customer profile? Who's your persona? And building that out, people are like, oh, no, we don't need that. Let's just get going with social media. And it's like, no, we're kind of wasting our time.
It's so true. I see that all the time. People are, no, we know who we're selling to. Okay, tell me.
Yeah.
Get specific. And most young companies can't do that.
Yeah.
They actually can't articulate to you the person or people they are going after and the personas they want to pursue.
Yeah.
And Mitch had all that worked out, absolutely worked out. And the other thing we had, back to what you said, was Rod Brooks.
Yeah.
Right? We were a PR machine. I had never in my whole career, we would turn down 2 out of 3 inquiries. Incoming inquiries, because it'd be like, no, that's not a friendly. We're not going to go with you.
Yeah.
That's not really our sweet spot. We're not going to go with you. When do you get to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it was mind-blowing to me. So that when we did get coverage, it was spot on. It was so spot on. And that was the education that we needed to provide it to our target audience, who didn't really understand what we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, last time I think we got together, we were talking. I think we were on a. I don't remember if we were on a call or a chat or something like that. And I was like, "Hey, let's do this podcast." And I said, "Think about some of the cool things." And you told me about your first day at Rethink.
So my first day at Rethink,
I was floored.
was 3 days before the announcement. Now you have to realize I was recruited. And I couldn't enter this space without signing an NDA because it was about to launch. And I thought...
And by it, you mean Baxter.
I mean Baxter.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, aren't these people pretentious? I have to sign an NDA to get interviewed? I'm like, come on. And I walked in, and there was...
That was probably... Did you send that?
I walked in, and there was Baxter. I'm like, oh, what is this? I mean, it was that kind of reaction, like, give me a minute. I gotta
Fan
figure
myself.
what is happening here. And then, I got hired, which was very exciting. And my husband was like, are you sure you want to commute downtown? I was like, oh, no, I don't want to, but I do want to work for this company.
And by the way, her energy, I mean, like, when I met you, I was like, oh, yeah. Like, she's ready to kind of like, come in, send that chick in the ring.
God. So I come in my first day. It's September 10th. And it's Monday, and I'm all excited. And I walk in, go into my desk, and I look over. Oh, there's a video going on. That's interesting. What's happening over there? And I got myself collected and realized it was Scott Pelley from 60 Minutes. And I'm like, hello, what? Am I dreaming? And I looked at Mitch, he goes, I'm like, okay, that's Scott Pelley he goes, I know. I was so blown away by that, I can't even tell you. Yeah. We were featured, and the announcement was 3 days later, right? It was Wednesday, September 12th. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, wow, this is something very, very unique. Like I had never in my whole life experienced anything like that. And as we prepped for the announcement, again, it was day one, we're thinking about how to prevent the website from crashing. How were we going to handle all the incoming stuff? There were all these contingencies because of it was going to be a big ta-da, and it was a big ta-da.
Yeah. How do you know that it was big?
Just from the volume. The website came this close to crashing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There was a backup server that took over. I mean, Mitch had this all planned out.
I mean,
I
Rod
just got
just
chills
had,
from that.
I mean, the guy had amazing star power back then. He did, yeah.
And everybody, all the media was on hold until that day, so it all hit together.
Yeah.
Which I don't think you can pull off anymore. I really don't. I think it'd be very hard. And it was stunning. It blew my mind. It blew my mind in a way like I've been through a lot of very interesting announcements, going public, did all sorts of stuff. This was not like any of that. It was quite exceptional.
Well, I think there's a lot of noise. Like there's a launch every single day of some robotics company.
Yeah. We were unique.
Yeah.
Singular. Everything was timed and executed perfectly. Yeah. And from that moment on, it was just, whoo, here we go. There was no lots of times after an announcement, there's a big lull. We had no lull. It just kept going. It was quite something.
And for Anne, like on the the people side, right? Like leading up to a launch, like how was that for you? Keeping, because engineers had things to do, tight deadlines. Like how did that affect what you were working on?
I'm trying to think about what that felt like, and I think that all I can remember is everybody's excitement.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I just remember their excitement. Yeah, I mean,
It
up to that
was,
point,
yeah.
there was a lot of
Late nights.
and people, there was a lot of tension and people being pissed off, and I mean that there's that classic, between marketing and engineering, and there's all that stuff that always happens. But no, there was just an incredible level of excitement.
Yeah. I mean, how I think of it, like whenever I'm going to do a robot demo, I'm always like, is this going to work today?
Right.
Like, was there any of that?
Oh, there
Of
was
course. Always that. Yeah. Always.
I know that because I used to sell them, so I'm asking you guys.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, yes. Oh, God.
Yes.
I remember one trade
A lot
show.
of jerry rigging going on.
Oh, one trade.
That's a robotics demo.
I can't remember the city. Actually, I can remember the city, but not the show. It was Vegas. I remember it because I hate the place so much.
Oh, I'll let you know how it is next week.
And we had 2 Baxters there, and honestly, they weren't ready for prime time. They weren't. They just weren't. But we were smart enough to bring the engineer. We had brought all the people necessary.
Ah, brilliant.
And of course, one of them completely crapped out. And the engineer said, I have to take it apart. And here you are on the show floor, not something you really want to do. So we positioned it as a demonstration of our capabilities on bringing the robot back if something should happen.
Oh, that's brilliant marketing.
It was a last-ditch effort.
Yeah.
And we told people, now you're going to see us perform some customer support. Took it up. It was,
And
people bought it.
Yeah. And we had such charming field service engineers.
We did.
Oh my God.
We did. We couldn't
You
have done
think
it.
of the Nates and oh my God.
And they rose to the
Pats
occasion.
and,
They were. Now what I'm doing is taking off the back panel.
And they were so freaking charming and lovely and so able to just be playful together. I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Also, when you're looking on how you hire a team, is when you get people who want to be playful together, they can be really creative together. And creativity is not just, in the actual design of the robot. It's also in what do you do when you're going to take this fucking
It was a
Baxter
stunning
that's
moment for me. I was like, nicely done, boys.
And they do it all with a smile.
Oh my God,
charming
people
as
loved
fuck.
it.
Yeah.
And people were talking about, did you see that? That was really cool. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Well, nobody ever did that before.
I don't think anybody would. They would take the robot away and try to fix it.
Yeah.
No, we left it right in, I swear to God, it was right in the middle of the booth, and they took it all apart, and they were explaining every piece of it, and people were like, ooh, ah.
But also nobody had seen anything like that.
I think that was a lot of it.
Yeah.
To be able to see the insides of
Yeah, oh,
something.
yeah.
People
Yeah.
were like, they're willing to show us the insides. They've got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful inside.
It
Yeah.
was.
I mean, come on, I am not an engineer. We
It was
all
a
know
beautiful
that,
robot.
But, oh,
It was a
God,
beautiful
the, yeah,
robot.
all the parts and
We had
Yeah.
we had one in the conference room that was didn't have the red shell on some of its arms.
Yeah.
Some of its arms only had two. But that was always really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because it looked like this very plasticky robot, but you know, it was very mechanical inside.
And
I still have Baxter parts. I might have some over there actually. That I just, they're just so beautiful. Just as
They
like
are.
I have them, like some are
Series elastic actuator.
Yep.
Who doesn't love a good series elastic actuator? Love it.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Again, something nobody had ever done on a show floor. I'm
Yeah.
certain. Just take the robot apart and talk your way through it. This is what this does. This is what this does.
Yeah.
People were in awe. I was in awe. I didn't know all of that either.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys very much thought, like, that's an example of you really thinking outside the box in a lot of different ways. And I think that you did that with actually building a whole new category of robot through marketing.
It was challenging because as much as we knew about our target market, we also knew they were super conservative.
Yeah.
They were really risk adverse.
Yep.
They were a fairly narrow demographic, but how do you educate that group?
Yeah.
And as we got into it, we could see trade shows were a key part, right? They had to touch it, they had to play with it. But also, that's a show floor. They wanted to see that robot doing. Real things.
Yep.
And that's when we embarked on the videos, right? We were constantly producing videos of Baxter on site.
Yeah.
And that's what really, I think, finally got
it.
people to say, yeah, I guess it does work. It
Yeah.
does do real things. It's not just a toy. It's not just a cute robot.
Yeah. You said the word education, and I felt like we did a ton of that as a company.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. It was always, I think we erred on the side of education, which was very smart, versus promotion,
Yeah.
right? We didn't do a lot of the silly, buy one, get. We did it once in a while.
We may have done that. I was on the sales team.
Yeah.
we did that when
We
things
did
got
get
a little
there
rough.
when things got rough. But the fundamental was always, let's get them educated so they know what to ask. And that was a long journey. I think that was a fairly long journey from a marketing perspective.
What was amazing for me, as I think of you too, and I think of all of the people, but right now here we are, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, I was kind of there in the beginning, and I was lucky, lucky that I got that opportunity and everything. But I think about like how people like you who weren't there from the beginning, even though you weren't, like you came in and like you owned it, like you fell in love with what we were doing, and you guys bled. Baxter bled Rethink just as much as those of us who were there in the very, very beginning. And
I think most of the people you found were like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right?
A good percentage.
We didn't have that many people who were there just to fill their resume.
right, yeah.
I see that much more nowadays.
Yeah.
People, I got to get this on my resume.
Yeah.
People there were committed.
Yeah,
They were very committed. They were very, very dedicated to making it successful.
Yeah.
I think it was very unique in that regard.
But I just want to really shout out you two too for
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was
It
fun.
was fun. And
Until it wasn't.
until
Yeah.
it wasn't. The thing so I came in to fill a very interesting gap
Yes.
because Tom Munger and I actually, shout out to Tom Munger.
Yay, Tom. Hi, Tom.
So we came in from Aldebaran, who had been acquired by SoftBank, and we had education sales over there.
Right.
And Ann called me up and said, I think it was the recruiter that actually called me up and said, we want a review for Tom Munger. And I was like, I want to tell you very terrible things because I don't want him to leave. And they're like, and the recruiter's like, let me call you right back. And I'm like, okay. So she must have talked to you, Ann, or Jason or something, and called me back and said, would you want to come here too? And I was like, well, Tom might be coming to get away from me, but
Not a chance. Not a chance.
but yeah, and really, I came in to solve the problem that Baxter, for whatever reason, was not selling as well as it should have been for manufacturing.
Yes.
But where was it selling? At full margin into education, into universities, into R&D, commercial settings, and we sold a ton. And I see them out there all the time, still in use.
Yes.
They were the most fun.
We do need to give a
still.
shout out to Chris Harbert, who
Chris
really,
Harbert. Yep.
really got the EDU thing happening.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, the robot wasn't meeting the precision requirements for manufacturing.
Right.
It just wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But for the research and education market, it was all and more than what they needed.
Yes.
And it was often a showcase.
Yeah.
It was often something, an entire department was built around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got us another few years, that's for
Yes.
sure.
I think so too. And the best thing that anybody ever said to me was a professor over in California, I'm not going to name the school, said, I really love this robot and I'm waiting for something very deep. And she says, I'm never going to find a dead undergrad in the lab in the morning. And I said, you're absolutely right.
I know exactly who that was. I know exactly who that was.
I mean, if we could help a professor sleep better, I mean, I'm fine with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but they taught a lot of skills. So the engineers so not only the engineers and people at Rethink that we worked with at that company out doing great things in the universe, these students that worked on these Baxters, learning to code, learning about robot trajectories, learning about vision and path planning.
Yes.
They're out changing the world with the things that they learned on their
Yes.
Baxter through ROS and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was vital at that moment. If we hadn't had that, we would have gone out of business much earlier.
Yeah,
No question about
I
it.
agree. And as far so we've moved on. That was many years ago. We don't talk about years. We don't age. But
That was a good sigh.
yeah.
Very appropriate sigh.
But we brought a lot of things, back to what that VC said, like people learned lessons there, and why aren't those lessons, purchased by another company? But, we have within us those lessons that we learned. So, what types of things did you use or did you learn over there that you use when you work with companies on, advising, consulting roles now?
Well, it's back to what we were talking about. People have an idea. They think it's it's a founder. It's their baby. It's the best idea ever. And then you start asking the basic questions. And who do you want to sell that to? Pray tell. And they don't have a real answer.
Yeah.
Or give me your value prop. Tell me why somebody would buy it. And you see it all the time. You see it every day.
I do. And
live it.
actually, our business is calling that out if we need to. Because we want these people to be successful. Yeah.
And the thing I learned most from Rethink was know who and figure out how.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't know how in the beginning, for sure.
No.
But we figured out how, trial and error,
Yeah.
Our social media started out pretty awful and turned into something great.
Oh, is it good though? You had, yeah.
We hired
Jeff Green.
Jeff Green.
Shout out to Jeff.
Yay,
Yep.
Jeff.
And Jeff just had that knack. He had that ability. So I think it's those things that, make sure the fundamentals are there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of companies get so excited, the startups get so excited about their idea, they forget those basics, the who, how are you going to reach them, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
It's not rocket science, but it is, you want to build a garden, you got to start with good soil. And
That's so true.
And it often is not the case because they're moving 1,000 miles an hour and they want to see the next thing happen. Nope. Don't plant the seeds till you have the grass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Build it the right way.
I learned that very well. I learned that from Mitch. I mean, he really understood how to position things in a way that was it's just so good.
Yeah.
It was just so specific and so good.
Yeah. What about you, Anne?
I just see over and over hiring errors, how huge. It's big, and it's hard because it's a soft science.
It is it's a skill.
And it's not recognized by VCs, in just sort of the conventional wisdom. I remember one of our VCs at Rethink saying, "Oh, we could have a great company if we just didn't have to deal with people." It's like, dude,
Seriously.
that's all this is.
Yeah.
It's people.
Yes, people building this thing.
Yeah. And
Gives you a little insight into our nightmare.
yeah. And I've seen, I always say ego and hubris. Ego and hubris will kill a company every time.
Yeah.
And just hiring simply on, right school, right connection to a certain, people.
Doesn't do it. Not enough.
No. And leadership. Leadership is simply, leadership has to understand that leaders, their job is to engage people who want to follow them on completing their mission.
Yeah.
They need to keep people engaged. And
I remember one, I won't say who I was talking to, but I was very frustrated and very angry. And I remember my line was, you can't be a leader if nobody wants to follow you.
That's right.
Oh, what an interesting thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, nobody wants to follow you.
Yeah.
You're like, that's, leader is not just, look at that great word, I'm a leader. No.
Yeah.
Look behind you. Is anybody behind you? No.
Yeah.
And we all have our shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am just as flawed as the next person. We all have our shit. But if you, are working, if you're working at your shit at work, you're definitely leaving turd piles that are going to get in the way of the business.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And, but if you really respect and really highlight the humanity and just the natural intelligence of the people around you, you can go, you can do anything.
We had so many people who were so good at what they did.
Yeah.
That's the thing that always, I think back to some of the expertise. They were just so good at what they did.
Yeah.
And they enjoyed it. And it wasn't like, look at me, I'm so good. No, it was, I get to do this here and I'm really excited to do it here because this is fun.
Yeah.
And that, I think, makes them even more productive, right? It makes their skill even more obvious and usable. So.
Yeah. I mean, so we're closing soon, but, I saved this for last. And, we were joking before we started, and I said to them, I'm going to ask you what your favorite story is, your favorite Rethink story. And they were like, we can't tell you till we have excessive wine at row 34. But
and not on camera.
And not on camera. So, but I said, clean it up, ladies. So, but no, what's a highlight? What's one of your favorite stories?
For me, it's like any stories when we were coming together, even during really shit times.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we had our first really big layoff and how everyone took care of everybody else? It was so, that sounds like, why would you bring that up as a highlight? It's just, again, when you just see how people are able to just be there for one another and again, offer that respect. And that was tremendous. I think that was really fun. We're getting signaled over here.
I know, she's waving. We have 2 minutes to
go. You go.
I can only think from a marketing perspective, and the when Sawyer was first coming out, again, the robot was not ready for prime time. We had rushed it out. We had to do a demo video. We were under tremendous pressure. We finally got it working, and then someone tripped over the power cord and unplugged the robot.
I wasn't in that day.
Yeah. I have never felt my heart sink like, and 7 hours of work down the drain. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, still right here. Still right here.
Yeah. And I think one of mine is some of the things professors would say to me. And that was one of the top stories. Not a dead kid in the lab. Which I was like, yes.
You got it.
I did bring something for you guys. I always bring some gifts. So I brought some socks for you guys.
Ooh, take no shit and give no fuck.
Yeah. Because honestly, you guys are some of the best mentors that a woman can have. And thank you so much for being
Mandy.
here.
Very fun.
Mandy Dwight and Company, boutique sales and marketing for automation companies. Sue Sokoloski, Ann Whittaker, Dose Whittaker.
Hello, my precious.
And we are former rethinkers, and we survived
We're
it.
so lucky to know one another.
We are.
Agree. So,
We are.
all right. Bye, everyone.